Hi, I'm Neil McCoy-Ward and welcome to the Property Cashflow Show, where you learn with every episode how to increase your cash flow from property. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you what is rent to rent and how can you make a ton of money from this strategy. And not just that, this teaches you how to actually increase your cash flow, how to learn about cash flow so that you don't actually go off and buy the wrong properties. One of the things I always advise is you need to learn about cash flow based strategies first before you buy any investment properties. So let's get into it. So I'm going to teach you today from the rent-to-rent blueprint, which I created several years ago now. This is available for purchase on my website, so you can get this as an A2 poster and then you can put it on your wall. That's what a lot of my students and clients do. So I'm going to teach you from this today. So this is the blueprint. It's quite in-depth, but I'm going to go into detail on this section here so that you know exactly how to do it and how you're going to do well from rent-to-rent. So firstly, why rent to rent then? This is the first question. Why get into rent to rent? Why not just, go straight into buy to let or any of the other strategies? For me, rent to rent is your foundation. It's the foundation of everything you do in property. So you can achieve incredible monthly cash flow and profit from doing rent to rent. Very little capital is required. I mean, you're talking a few £1,000s, including your training, right? To actually get your first rent to rent, get it all furnished, get it renovated, and then getting it starting to make you money every month. You're going to make at least, like the worst rent to rent property you'll ever take on is going to make you £500 cash flow a month, right? The ROI, which stands for return on investment, is incredible and is much higher versus traditional buy to let here. You look at buy to let, you're never going to get this sort of cash flow with such a small investment. No mortgage required, so you don't need to worry about a mortgage, especially if you've got bad credit. There's no solicitor either. You don't need a solicitor, you don't need conveyancers, you don't need to wait months for the transaction to occur. You can take on your first property in as little as 24 hours. I have quite literally before seen an advert, let's say on Gumtree or something like that. I've contacted the landlord, picked up the phone, spoke to him, arranged a meeting within an hour, and within 2 or 3 hours, I've got a contract signed. That's how fast this is. Right? So here's how it works. A lot of people misunderstand this, so I'm going to go into detail on this. And again, you can look at other videos on YouTube and you'll see these gurus teaching you rent to rent in the completely wrong way. Because what they say is, that you rent a property from a landlord and then you rent it on. No, that's not correct at all. That's called subletting. You don't do that at all. So here's what happens. Here's you here. So you're the property manager. You then have a landlord, right? So that is the person that owns the property. And then what you have here is a management agreement, right? So you have a management agreement, very similar to a letting agent agreement between you and the landlord. So you are in partnership, but not officially. So it's not an official partnership. It's more of a verbal partnership. You then rent to tenants, okay? And again, this is a massive problem that I see. A lot of people who teach rent to rent teach this incorrectly. And they say on the tenancy agreement, which is the AST, Assured Short Hold Tenancy, they teach you to put your name on it and then rent it to tenants. No, please make a note of this. Your name and the landlord's name has to be on that agreement. Otherwise, legally, that is not a legally binding agreement because you don't own that property. So the landlord's name has to go on. You then here rent the property to tenants. Okay, so you're going to put tenants in that property, depending on whether it's licensed or unlicensed. Right, so the flow of rent goes this way to you, and then you pay the landlord, and then the legal contracts flow this way. So it goes from you with a management agreement here, and it flows to the tenants, which are tenancy agreements. Okay, so far? And by the way, if you've got questions as we go through, just drop them in the comments and I'll answer those questions. And make sure to hit the like button as well. So here we go then. This is not subletting. Okay, people think it's subletting. This isn't subletting. Subletting is where you rent this from the landlord on a tenancy agreement and then you rent it to tenants. You're not doing that, okay? That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you are in partnership with a management agreement and then you are renting to the tenant on behalf of you and the landlord. Okay, so it's a management agreement, it's not subletting, it's fully legal. This has been going on for years, like decades and decades and decades. Okay, so that's how it all works. Now, you sit in the middle, okay? So think of yourself more like a broker. So you sit in the middle, you have the landlord here, who we've already talked about, and then we have the tenants. So the number of tenants really depends upon the property, how many rooms you can convert, and whether it's a licensed HMO or an unlicensed HMO. I'm not going to talk about that today because that's, again, quite a detailed topic. So how much money can you make then? Well, in fact, let me do this instead. Let me do this. Let me give you an example before we go on to this. So let's say that we have a property and it's, let's say it's 4 bedrooms, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms here. We've got a dining room here. We've got a lounge here. And then we've got a kitchen and a bathroom, right? And we might have another bathroom here upstairs, right? Just as an example here. Right, so that's what you've got. You've got a 4-bedroom property, dining room and a living room. So that property may rent for, let's say, £900 PCM. And that stands for per calendar month. So that's a buy-to-let property that the landlord's going to rent out. So he or she will get £900 per calendar month. Okay, so this is what we do. We take that same property and we do this. 400, another 400, another 400, another 400. And then remember, this was the dining room and the living room. We're now going to get another 400, another 400. Okay, so now we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So we've got £2,400 coming in, right? So that's now your income. But remember what you've got to pay out. You've got to pay out 900 to the landlord. And by the way, just to give you an insight here, we never pay £900 to the landlord. We never pay full price because within the advanced course, there's actually a full system that shows you how to get the price down from 900 to about 700. So typically, it's going to cost you about 700. But for this example, I'm just going to keep it all simple, and we're going to say we're going to pay the full market rent of 900. You're going to have, because there's 6 rooms now, about 400 on the utilities. Now, if it's a student property, it's going to be a lot less than that. You're probably talking about 200, 250 because there's no council tax. But let's just pretend it's a professional house. So we're doing worst case scenario on everything here. You're going to have £1,300 going out. Okay, so we've got 2,400 in, 1,300 out. So simple maths here. That gives you a profit of £1,100. Every single month, fully legal. All you'd have to do is get the property license, which is pretty straightforward. It's not a huge task to do that. So let's go back. What could 10 houses look like then? Well, let's say instead of having a property that was doing, like that example there, 1,100, let's say you had some really bad houses. They're really poor performing. So you had one that was 500, one that was 600, and then you had a couple here that was 750, 800. If you just had some poor performing houses like this, another 600, another 900, but then you had a couple that were really well performing, 1,200, £1,000. If you had just 10 houses, that was all, that would make you £8,150 per month net. So that's after your deductions, okay? That's profit per month. And I actually got up to this level very, very fast when I started in rent to rent. I was doing it so fast it was ridiculous. You know, the first couple of months, I think I got up to about 5 or 6 houses, right? So I was already about here by the first 2 months. And then I just grew it and grew it and grew it. And now I have one of the largest rent-to-rent portfolios in the country. And that's why I can teach this very easily, because this is second nature to me. I do this day in, day out. So then what else do you need to know? This is another important thing. You also need to know this. There's different categories of HMOs. So you have professionals, you have students, you have workers. There's 3 other categories, but I'm not going to go into them here. So let's say you had professional houses. Well, you might make just under £4,000 from your professional houses, because you have to diversify. You might make £6,500 from your student houses, and then you might do just over £3,000 for your worker houses. Again, professionals and workers, it's a different type of house. So just based on that, what's that? Almost £14,000 per month just from diversifying. So that is an insight then into rent to rent, how it works, how you can make money from it. If you'd like more information on this, I highly recommend that you come to Property Cashflow live event. Again, I can send you a free ticket. I don't mind sending you a free ticket if you haven't got the capital to actually buy a ticket. Okay, so I'll drop a link in the description here. Or if you know you want to get into rent to rent properly and you're ready to go onto the website propertycashflowacademy.com, and you'll find there either you can book on straight away onto the live course or the online platform, or if you still want more information, go on the webinar. We've got a free webinar there for you. I think it's over 2 hours long, this webinar. Go on there, learn more about the strategy, learn more about all of this, get yourself started. The other thing you can do, if you haven't read the book Property Cashflow, you can get that from Amazon, or you can again buy that from the website, and that will teach you all about it as well. So apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned all about rent to rent now on a foundational level, and you know how to actually get an advanced level of education on this now. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.